Hi, and welcome to another episode of Garmology, a podcast about clothes and stuff. Now, today we're kind of going back to the basics, but all will be revealed. My guest is Neale, who I believe is from
Yep.
Aberdeen, but is sitting in Amsterdam.
Uh,
Would you like
yeah,
to
yeah.
introduce
Well, I'm
yourself,
in The
Neale?
Hague actually, Den Haag. But yeah. So I'm Neil. I'm the owner and designer at Adamant Clothing, which is a small um, menswear label that I run just as a side project, really, from the day job. And I've been doing that since 2018, on and off. Um, just designing menswear, primarily, and just trying to make stuff that I like, and hope that others like, just for just as a sort of passion project, really. Um, so yeah, and we've kind of we were on hiatus for, I was on hiatus, really, for quite a few years, just because of family and work commitments. Had two young kids and moved from Scotland to the Netherlands for work. So logistically, things had to kind of take a bit of a back seat for a while. But I'm really trying to get it back going again. And we've got a new piece launching just next month, which is our going back to basics, which is our third version of our overshirt that I'm wearing just now. Um, and we've made some tweaks to it, and we're just hoping to get that out and kickstart the brand again. So quite a lot's changed, really, since that first shirt we launched back in 2018, and the way we kind of get the word out there has changed drastically. So yeah.
I'm going to stop you there for a moment, Neil, because I noticed we've been recording for about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and you have kind of summarized
Sorry, sorry.
almost everything we were going to talk about. But let's just put
Yeah.
a pin in that. And I mean, I normally start out mainly because of personal curiosity. I'm always keen to know, how did people end up where they are? Now, you say adamant. I often think of it in my mind as an 80s pop kid as Adam Ant, but
Yeah.
that's my problem. Uh, how did you end up where you are? What is your day job? And what sort of made you want to start making your own clothes?
Okay, so I ended up in the Netherlands for my day job. I work in engineering as an electrical draftsman. Um, so I've worked, listeners may or may not know, but Aberdeen's got a huge kind of oil and gas industry. There's lots of big
Right.
engineering firms. So that is kind of the job you end up doing in somewhere or another if you come from Aberdeen, really. So um, I was working as a electrical draftsman or designer for a long time, and that is still my day job. But always had a desire to sort of travel and work abroad and things. So an opportunity came up just over 3 years ago to come over here to the Netherlands to work. So that's why we ended up here in The Hague. Um, and yeah, what was your other question, Nick? Sir?
Well, years before that,
Oh,
you
years
decided
before
that
that, yeah.
you wanted to make your own
Yeah, so
stuff
basically,
and
yeah. I mean,
design.
I've always been interested in clothes and design, I guess. Always tried to, have the sort of, you know, the coolest stuff I could get and things like that. Started out, secondary school. I was a big skateboarder, so um, used to wear all the skate clothes, and then naturally sort of progressed more into the streetwear side of things. So usually kind of head to toe in Stussy and Fresh Jive, that sort of stuff. Um,
Sounds
yeah,
posh.
well, it was pretty lucky. I mean, we for a small city, Aberdeen had a few really uh, influential shops, I would say. Places like Kafka and Hannen, which was formerly Street Threads, um, which, if you're a big sneakerhead, you're probably aware of Hannen. Um, and so they were some of the first shops to kind of carry things like Stussy, Stone Island, CP Company, all that sort of stuff in Scotland, as far as I'm aware. Aberdeen had a very big football casual scene, so it's always been quite prevalent in Aberdeen, I suppose. And there was, because of the oil, there was always lots of money, so people could afford these sort of designer brands. But um, for me, really, it was all skateboarding to begin with, and then I kind of left school and joined the workforce, and I was kind of round about the time there was a big indie music explosion in Britain, so things like the Arctic Monkeys, Strokes, Libertines, and all that. So kind of got,
So around
yeah,
2000.
a bit later than that, maybe between sort of 2003, 2006 kind of period.
Okay.
And so it was very much into the kind of mod revival sort of scene. So lots of Fred Perry, uh, skinny jeans, that sort of thing. Which, yeah, it's funny with all the 90 the sort of Gen Z nostalgia and stuff coming through, and they're sort of dressing like how we used to dress. It's brought back some painful memories of some of this stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I was always relatively restrained and sort of as stylish as I could be. But yeah, there was definitely some questionable outfits there if you troll back through Facebook about 20 years ago. Um, but yeah, and then just kind of, I suppose the Instagram really was a big influence. Obviously, as I got a bit older, just got a bit more mature, um, just moved away from the sort of modi stuff, just naturally. And yeah, Instagram when it sort of kicked off, it was a real treasure trove of inspiration and things like that. And yeah, as I say, really lucky in Aberdeen that we had places like Kafka, for example, that always had really cool clothes. So, and as I got older and was working more, a bit more disposable income before the kids and the marriage and everything like that, um, I could afford to shop in these places. I'd always kind of just walk by the window, looking at sort of longingly. But yeah, and that was it. And then it was really through that I discovered that I kind of was always into sort of design and fashion and style and stuff, but um, didn't really it didn't really occur to me that you could kind of go into that sort of thing. But after working, doing a job, I mean a good job, but not something that is a passion, if you like. Just got me, yeah,
Oh, I
just
know
got
that
me
very
kind of
well.
daydreaming, and again through early Instagram and early Twitter, before it got really bad, meeting guys like Ian at Trickett. He was a big inspiration to me, and he, very similar, just a guy with no sort of, training, didn't go to art school or anything like that, but just passionate about clothes. And he kind of did it, and so I just speaking to him, just says, yeah, just go for it. And so he was really instrumental in getting Adamant off the ground, introduced me to my first manufacturer down in England who made our first shirts, and it just took off from there. So yeah, that's it.
Would you say when you were sort of getting into the idea of designing your own stuff that you'd look at professionally designed things and keep seeing how they could have made it better?
Um, yeah, not necessarily how they could have made it better, but just how there was just a lot of samey stuff out there. And not, you're paying a lot of money for very simple things, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I basically just thought you could get better value for money out there, and I thought I could design not necessarily better stuff, but I could design things that I liked, and hope that other people kind of like it too. but I didn't know, it didn't really, the idea didn't really take off until I went to uh, a night class at the local university, the art school there, and they were running, it was like fashion and textiles for beginners, just a kind of 3 4 month program that taught you how to, basic pattern making, sewing, how garments are put together. Which I think,
Mm.
I mean, that's something you don't even think about if you don't, you just pick something off the rack. You don't really consider the time and kind of effort and skill that goes into it. So um, that really kind of opened my eyes, and then that's when I thought, right, I think I can do something with this, without any kind of intention to turn it into a brand or anything straight away. It was just, let's just see where this goes, and that subsequently led me to meeting my friend Siobhan, who was a student at the time, and she took the class as part of her sort of final year um, assessment, and just sort of stayed in contact with her. And now Siobhan makes all our garments down in Glasgow in her little studio. So yeah, if you're getting a piece from Adamant, it's going to be handmade 100% by Siobhan. So we think that it's quite a unique thing, really, to see your garments been
Yeah.
handmade. So
You mentioned that during this class you were sort of learning how garments are
yeah,
assembled and made. Did that give you any sort of revelations in retrospect of looking at stuff you already had and
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
well, yeah,
seeing that it
yeah, it makes you
wasn't
look
that
at the
great?
quality 100%, because you're learning about um, this particular type of stitch is more complicated than this particular type of stitch, so it takes a bit more time. So if you see that, maybe that's the reason you're paying a bit more for your garment, you know, or you might just have the most basic bog standard construction, but your companies are still charging, an arm and a leg, and it makes you question, right? Am I buy what I'm buying? Is it worth it? First and foremost. So it totally changed my perception for that, and I did start looking more. I got really into which I still do. I mean, the sort of the made in America or the made in Japan, the made in Britain kind of thing, where these companies market themselves on being a higher quality. So I kind of started trying to get my items that were made in these places, and but you still approach it with a critical eye. So if you get something that is made in Britain, um, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be made any better, really, or made in America, made in Japan, whatever it might be. So yeah, it definitely makes you look at things with a just a more critical eye, I would say. Yeah, and um, trying to just focus on quality when I'm buying stuff.
Just that bit about where things are made and how we automatically associate that with something good is a very good point because I mean some stuff made in Japan excellent. There is stuff made in Japan that
Yeah,
isn't excellent. I mean the same goes for everywhere. And also, I mean, a lot of people won't care whether there's French seams on the inside legs of a pair of
yeah,
trousers if they just look the same from the outside.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, and it's like, I mean, some people, they're just not bothered about it, and that's fine. But for me, if I know it's taken, as someone that makes clothes as well, I'm reluctant to buy something that I wouldn't kind of um, want to see in my in my clothes either. But yeah, regarding the made in sort of badge, 100%. I mean, I think certainly nowadays, even stuff like made in China, it's not the kind of brand of shame it used to be. When I was at school or whatever, if something was made in China, it was a joke, kind of thing. But I think the
Mm.
quality has increased so much that if you have something that's made in China or Indonesia or wherever, it's not necessarily going to be any worse than something made, here or in America.
Mm.
It's just 100% depends on the brand and the scales involved and things like that. Um, I know from doing adamant, we obviously put a real focus on made in Scotland, but I mean I've had some items made in Scotland for us, samples and things like that, prototypes that just didn't really work out at all, kind of thing. So it's not it's not this guarantee of quality that you kind of immediately think it's going to be. So we just yeah, I approach everything I buy on its own merits and just see what we think.
Yeah, yeah. I have had some stuff that I have been very disappointed with, but uh, recently I've been wearing some of my old Nigel Caborn, and there were lots of design misses there. There were lots of things that didn't fit maybe as well as they could have done. But looking at all the details, all the buttons, the zips, and how intricately
Mm.
things were made, I mean, I can tell that back then he was not skimping on anything. It was just, can we do this better?
Yeah,
Yes. Can we have special little bits made for it? Yes. And I mean, that's why it ended up
yeah,
costing extortionate figures.
yeah, definitely. I mean, and I'm the same as well. I mean, we try and um, use the best stuff that's available to us. So, for example, on our all our shirts, we use Courtney and Co buttons, which you know,
Friend of the
yeah.
pod.
So obviously made in UK, and a really great sort of success story there. So obviously their buttons cost a lot more, but you're getting a real sort of story and heritage behind that. Um, and we started using them way back when they just sort of launched, or relaunched as well. And yeah, just trying to use the best kind of fabric we can get our hands on. Obviously, being a very small brand, we don't order things in huge, great big runs or anything like that. So it'll be a bit of a balancing act between getting the price versus the quality um, right and feasible. But I think we do it pretty well.
It's interesting, really, because I mean, you're making menswear, and men are total suckers for the sort of backstories and the
Oh,
history of
100%.
things,
Yeah.
and and you can quite easily in that way by choosing the right buttons, the right cotton fabric, the right tweed, the right bits and pieces. You can sort of almost write the history book just through the parts, and then say find a maker
Yeah.
who has a history in making so and so, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a nice little
Yeah,
booklet
yeah.
of
Well, I
of
mean,
history there.
yeah, like things as I say, like early Instagram introduced me to loads of stuff that I had no idea about, and got really into, the whole Amatora, Japanese American thing there, and started, searching out these long defunct American brands that have been revived by Japanese companies. And
Yeah.
for a long time, I really wanted a Browns Beach vest, the sort of wool vest, and I went down a real rabbit hole with all that sort of history, and it's stuff I didn't know and stuff totally irrelevant, really. But um, yeah, just but it was interesting to me, and I liked it, and I knew, well, if I can get my hands on one of these, at least I know what I'm wearing, even if other people don't don't
Mm.
care. Um,
Speaking of that, that's one of those items that I think of as a must have. But once you have it, you realise that
Yeah.
you
Well, the
don't
thing is,
actually
I
need
don't,
it.
I never got one. I've never owned one.
Oh,
But I went a real because I mean, basically there was obviously a company that was reproducing them, but they were quite hard to get hold of, and they were
mm,
extremely expensive. And I just thought, well, there's a limit to everything. So I mean, I love vests and kind of gilets and stuff. Anyways, so I've adamant we've done two of them. But I ended up getting a Filson Mackinaw sort of cruiser vest, which I still have, and was actually a an influence behind the Broadford shirt that we do, and I've still got that, and I still wear that regularly. So, and that was just something that I came across by accident. Really, I was in browsing in Kafka one day, and they had it in the sale, and thought, right, I'm having that. And then that led me down a
Mm.
Filson rabbit hole, and I started exploring all the all the old Filson stuff, which again has had a big influence on what we do at Adamant and the kind of direction that we want to go with the brand as well.
Let's just pin Fiddleston for a moment because I wanted to mention the Browns Beach
Yeah,
vests. Now, for those that haven't seen them, they're quite a sort of basic square vest in a woolly, sort of stripy
yeah. There's a
material.
couple different colors, and it's got it's sort of like what's the word? I know I should know this because I learned about it in the class. A kind of piping, all the stitching,
Yeah, they're
the
all
stitching is all kind
yeah
of yeah
pipe
piping,
seams. Yeah,
um, and yeah, I mean
it's
they're
quite
very
simple
simple. I
though.
mean it's a base layer effectively, designed to be
Mm.
worn under something bigger. Um, but yeah, and that period
I
of
don't.
Instagram was just kind of that was a sort of look at the time, the Alden boots and the selvage denim and the Browns Beach and stuff. So
But the Browns Beach vest was it the fabric or was it the maker who was? But there was sort of one
yeah,
brand that made them, and then that brand was
mhm.
Japanese. But nowadays, I mean, everyone's making
Yeah, yeah.
Browns Beach like vests, and I mean, even Toast had one a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah, I've started seeing them again
And
more and more.
it's quite strange. I mean, I never had one really either, but I never really got that into them. But it just shows how a lot of the sort of standard designs have now been replicated so
Yeah,
many
yeah.
times, and in the sort of heritage wear
Mhm.
environments now, there's one on Reddit which is very active. People don't seem to care whether it's the original or whether it's a replica. It's just the
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
And that kind of brings us back to
Mhm.
Filson because Filson has been pure Americana, traditional classic for
Yeah,
years and years and years, made in Portland, Oregon, I think,
yeah. No, well, I
but
mean,
not
obviously
now.
they had a big rebrand, I guess, and a big marketing drive, and I got my first Filson, which is a Scout jacket, which I don't think they make anymore, and I got it about 13, 14 years ago. They had a small boutique in London. It was kind of like a pop-up thing, and I happened to be in London for a gig.
That's right, you did.
And yeah, I found it in there. And again, it felt like this sort of thing that only I kind of knew about. Because obviously they hadn't taken off like they have now. And I sort of thought, oh, this is a bit like an American barber type thing. So um, I thought, right, I'm having that. And I've still got that, but yeah, I don't wear that so much these days. Um, and then uh, I've got a Mackinac Cruiser jacket here, which this is made in America. I got this in Boston, and I think this is probably just before they'd had their big kind of let's ship everything overseas sort of moment. So I know they still make, I think they still make that particular jacket in the States, but yeah, so much more of it is shipped abroad, and you see it in loads of uh, online sellers and stuff. A lot more people carrying it these days. So um,
It's still incredibly
it's
pricey.
still incredibly pricey, yeah. So as I say, I've only ever had a couple pieces. That was a bit of a wedding present to myself, I must admit.
Ah, that one, yes.
We got that on my after I got married and we were in Boston on vacation. So, but yeah, that's that. But I mean, yeah, I don't begrudge paying that when you're getting a jacket that good quality, and I'm going to have that forever, sort of thing. But yeah,
Mm.
I haven't had any of the new Filson, so I couldn't speak for the quality there. But
Do you think the sort of place it's made is a is an actual vital part of
I,
what it
I,
is.
yeah, I think it is, whether you'd like to admit it or not. I think there's a inherent snobbishness about menswear and style and stuff. And
Mm.
I can't, I'm a sucker for it as well, just like everybody else. And if the whole USP of the brand is, we are this, whatever it is in Filson's case, we are this classic American brand, and all the imagery is, loggers or cowboys and stuff like that, then you want it to be made by these same people that wear it, rather than in some
Yeah.
factory in the Far East or whatever. So I think it does. Whether you like it or not, it does play a big part.
I guess it's a question of honesty because what you mentioned there, using all the loggers and the ruggedness and America in the advertising, and this isn't just a
No,
Filson
no,
thing, I'm
no.
not picking on them, but if you're making that a part of the identity, well, then it has to
Yeah,
actually be
yeah, exactly.
authentic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, exactly. You could say the same for Barber and things like that. This quintessentially British brand, loved by the gentry and stuff like that. But that's not the case anymore. So as you say, just be kind of upfront and honest about it, or don't. Yeah, but
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because if you are making it a part of who
yeah,
you are, then
yeah,
live
yeah.
it. Yeah. So how does that work out for you?
Well,
You're proudly Scottish, making
yeah.
in
Well, I mean, I
Scotland.
don't think we've ever really leaned too heavily into it, because we can't. We can't manufacture heritage or anything like that. So um, I've always been reluctant to, when I'm putting items up for sale and the description, filling it with a lot of you know nonsense really about where we come from and stuff. Like I, I see it all the time. It's a big thing with. I mean, I love football shirts, and I've always loved football shirts, which speaks to why I've always kind of been interested in this. I used to design my own football shirts and stuff, but that's a big thing. Whenever a club like my club Aberdeen launches a new kit, you get this marketing blurb, and it's like inspired by the North Sea and the granite and the stuff and blah blah blah, and you're just like, it's not, just
Right.
um. So yeah, so I've never really tried to lean into that other than just we make our stuff in Scotland because um it's local to us. We can have more control over it. Um, it's we use the people that we use. We believe are really good quality. Um, and it's obviously supporting local businesses. We are not, we're not mass producing thousands of items at a time. We have the luxury that we can make stuff in Scotland, really. So as long as we have that luxury, then we're going to use it. And yeah, I mean, I've worked with, and not just Scotland. I mean, UK really is our thing. If we can make it in Britain, then great. And we will always try and do that first and foremost. But I would never sort of uh, I would never make that our whole thing. I mean, I know you get excellent quality clothes made all over Europe and stuff now, and as I say, even in Asia and things. I mean, I've got stuff that is made in Portugal, and which is obviously a big manufacturing uh, country as well. So, but yeah, we at the moment we enjoy making stuff in Scotland, and we're gonna keep doing it. We've got a setup that works for us, so we're gonna keep doing it as long as we can.
I'm going to voice something that might be kind of controversial or unpopular, but it does strike me now and again when people are banging on about the Britishness of their brands that it can be a little political adjacent and
Oh yeah,
get a bit
100%,
touchy.
100%. Yeah, I think yeah. I mean the Union Jack is carrying a lot of baggage at the moment, I would say. So yeah,
Mm,
but it's just, I mean, as I say, I say we, I mean, it's a one man band really. I don't have the connections and things like that. So making stuff in Scotland just it just makes sense from us from a logistical
Mm.
point of view and a quality point of view. But I would never, we don't, I don't judge anybody for getting stuff made elsewhere at all.
It's kind of comes down to what's practical and what's
Yeah,
realistic,
yeah, exactly.
and
I mean, we're again. I keep saying we, like the royal we. I mean, Adamant is, it's 100% self-funded. So, it's just it started off just with money that I had. I put into getting the first samples made and the first production run. We were lucky that that went really well, and we basically broke even effectively. I never made any great amount of money on that at all, and that's always just been what we do. I do it for the enjoyment. I do it as a break from the day job, and something that I can get really involved in and hands on with. Um, and that's what we can continue to do. Really, it's always been self-funded, and that obviously has its challenges. It means that we can't do big runs of things, and sometimes we'll get hits and we'll get just as many misses. I mean, I've done a couple of things that I'm incredibly proud of, and in my mind, they're the best things we've done, but they just haven't landed with people for whatever reason. We had a really nice linen chore coat that we did with a beautiful ikat lining, and it was linen from the last mill in Scotland down in Fife that still makes it. Again, it had Courtney Co buttons. It was real quality piece, but it just didn't land for whatever reason. So that was a bit of a miss, unfortunately. But then the next thing we did after that was we did flannel popover button-down shirts, which went down great as well. So we kind of made, washed our faces with that, and yeah. And then this next piece we've got again, because we're self-funded and there's other things, um, external influences like family and things. This is a operating on a pre-order structure.
mm.
So, um, and that works for us, and it works for our maker as well. So it means they're not inundated with loads of stuff, and we're not left over with lots of stock that we can't shift. So, um, yeah, if you like it, let us know, and it'll be a pre-order initially to begin with, anyway. And then,
Mm.
yeah, and I think that's a way to go. And I mean that adds to the, I suppose, the uniqueness of the item. It allows us to have small adjustments to the person that's buying it. If they want it slightly longer, slightly shorter, anything like that, we can accommodate that within reason, obviously. But that's an approach that I think we're gonna kind of take forward for the next few pieces.
Mm. I guess it's, I mean, in many ways, less risk and it makes a lot more sense, and you don't have to make excess.
Yeah,
What I suppose the challenge is in making it suggestive enough, central. What is the word I'm looking for?
yeah,
Romantic
yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah.
So you get guys actually committing to the
Mm.
pre-order and wanting it. It struck me you were talking about the linen jackets that didn't hit the spot because I mean back in those days was those the Greenwich Barber Forum days
Uh, Pass. I'm not
around
sure.
that
I'm trying to
time
think when
10,
this would
12
have
years ago?
been. It is probably around about 2020. No, yeah, maybe around 2018. Yeah, it was some
Some
years
years
back
back.
anyway. And it was. I just wanted to try something a little bit differently. It was, I mean, obviously over shirts and chore jackets and things like that. Have They've been pretty much the predominant style, I would say, as far as menswear goes for the last kind of 10 years.
Fashion season.
Yeah, so I mean, we did that, but I just wanted to do something a little bit differently. Instead of just, a plain blue chore coat or whatever, we made it out of a nice, white linen, which yeah, maybe that put people off, the lightness of it. I don't have any here, unfortunately. But tried to make it a bit differently. I mean, we had a blue and white ikat lining, which is ikat's a really nice fabric from India, um, and it kind of just kind of thought that setup had yellow buttons on it again as well, and that it, it just didn't work for whatever reason. But bizarrely, we did get a few orders from the States for that, so I ended up selling more to the States than in the UK for that item as well.
Well, the direction I was hoping to take with the forum mention was that as a small brand launching someone to a
Mm.
crowd on a forum like that, you will get discussion going where you might have some of the more predominant members saying this is good or
Mm.
this is bad, which will then influence a lot of the others. Because I get the impression there's a lot of men who will sort of look
Yeah.
to the sides and see what everyone else is wearing and play it a bit safe and not actually trust their own
Yeah, well, I mean
taste.
that probably speaks to a bit of ignorance on my part, I guess. I mean, I just kind of hoped that I'd make the things and the people would come, and maybe without doing the sort
Yeah.
of due diligence on it. Again, it was at that time it was very much I'll just make what I like, and if people like it, then great. If they don't, then
Well, I mean, that's the
that's the
natural way to
natural
go,
way to
isn't it?
go.
I mean, you
But
have to have some
yeah,
faith.
but now I mean, we kind of tried to uh, be a bit more conscious of what the brand is and what we want to make. So um, instead of having a bit of a sort of scattergun approach, like, well, I like this, I'll make this, I like that, I'll make this. Because the reality is, there's well established brands that can do these things, much, not necessarily much better, but I mean, a button down Oxford shirt, Ralph Lauren, J Press, Brooks Brothers, everyone's got a version of it. So it's quite
Mm.
difficult to, stand out from the crowd on that. Um, but looking at some smaller brands who they're just like, right, this is our thing, this is what we do, and we're really good at it. Um, Guys like yeah, like the sort of likes of Crescent Downworks and Rocky Mountain Featherbed,
Mm.
um, Painter Jacket, that kind of thing. Just we do this really well, and if you want one, come to us because you're going to get a good one. So that's kind of where I'm hoping to take Adamant in the future. Um, like so this, the Broadford, I'd love it to become a kind of perennial sort of classic because that was a really encouraging thing when we first started. Everyone or so many of the people that bought this the first time around, they still have it 10 years later. They still wear it. It's been washed 1,000 times, which it should be hand washed, but um, I've seen I've got some pals and that bought them, and yeah, they just shove them in the washing machine. But they still wear it. It holds up really well. Obviously, it's faded over time, but um, so yeah, and I mean it's an overshirt. I'm not you can't jump up and down and get super excited about an overshirt. But what we try to do is make it just different from everyone else's. With the wool pockets, the elbow patches, the gussets and stuff, and just try and say that separate ours a bit from the pack. And if you buy an adamant overshirt, you're gonna still be wearing it in 10 years' time. Is the plan, is the hope anyway.
That's a very interesting point you make there about finding the stuff that is your brand and making them and not trying to cover everything or not trying to make everything. Because I mean, I'm a bit of an enthusiast when it comes to this stuff, but I do often see a brand and I think, wow, that's good. Maybe that is the brand that I will from now on only buy
Mhm.
and wear. And then I'll see the next season and oh no, they've
Yeah,
lost
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no,
Well,
well, that's what I mean. I think that was kind of my approach to begin with. Um, but I'm now, certainly, I'm now at an age now where like I know what I like, and I'm not going to, from year to year, season to season, I'm not going to change. So, and I know, lots of other people like that as well. So if we can do one thing that people know us for, and they when they want a new overshirt or a new vest or uh, whatever it is, then they can think of us and come to us. Because I mean, I'm my own personal style. I mean, I'm very influenced by Ivy League style and sort of classic kind of American heritage stuff. But I know there's lots of brands that if I want an Oxford cloth button-down shirt, as I say, I could go to one of these really established guys. So let's not try and you know join this ever expanding pack of people.
So I suppose if you make everything to order, you could actually have a wide range of stuff. So if someone is a real fan of what you do, then they can base their life around what you make. But a lot of the time, I think you need there to be a sort of collective enthusiasm to get the order numbers up. Someone on somewhere online has to say that this is the absolute best, and then you'll suddenly be swarmed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
And
that's what I'd love to happen. Really, ideally, I'd love to be known as the Gile guy or the overshirt company or whatever.
not the
Well, not
GLA
the
guy.
Gile. No,
That
no.
is not who you want to be
Well,
these
yeah,
days.
yeah.
These
Well,
days.
that's a very frustrating thing actually because yeah, I love a vest or a gilet, but yeah, they've kind of been co-opted by the whole tech bro, the finance bro industry. But yeah, I'd like to
At
think
least
ours are.
a market
I'd
with
like to
money,
think
at
ours
least.
are far enough removed from that. Um, but that probably goes back to my deep admiration for Marty McFly and Back to the Future growing up with the life
There's an
preserver.
influence.
So yeah, that's where that comes from. Definitely.
I always find them a bit strange, as in, what do you wear them over? Because it's a combination of a warm
Yeah,
garment, but
it
what
doesn't
do you?
really make any sense to be honest. But I mean, I typically wear mine over a sort of thick hoodie or a woolly jumper or something like that. We don't make really big, heavy ones or super thick um, down feather ones. Not at the moment anyway. They're really more of it is really a sort of transitional kind of garment. So you can wear it underneath, a waterproof jacket, a thin waterproof jacket, and that's giving you the vest is giving you the warmth that you want. Um, and But yeah, who knows? But again, I mean that's something that we did this one, which this is made to order as well. Um, it's got the cord lining and the two-tone or three-tone even, and that's inspired by a dead stock American one that I've got. Um, but again, that hasn't really landed in the way I hoped it would. But I think that's more down to the marketing side of things, which I know you maybe wanted to talk about the whole Instagram algorithm stuff is really done for us there. But we also have a wool a sort of Melton wool version as well, the ripstop lining and stuff, and that's done quite well. But yeah, it's just that, we're just gonna we've got our kind of direction that we want to go in, and we'll keep ploughing that furrow for the meantime, and see how we get on.
Mm. It is a tricky market, and much as we don't like to think so, I think there are also clear
Yeah,
trends, even in the sort of heritage, Amatora,
yeah, yeah,
Amekashi,
yeah,
proper
yeah,
clothes market.
yeah. Like I love like a two-tone thing, or I'm not sure what they call it, these crazy shirts, a two-tone kind of Madras patch or something like that, the sort of things that, kind of Ralph Lauren's sort of known for. Um,
Mm. I don't like them.
well, I love that sort of stuff, but there you go. Case in point, yeah. So, It's not for some people. But
No, that kind of leads me into that it's really the least dramatic clothes that you get the most use of. But while we're looking at for stuff, we tend to go for the stuff that really stands out, like a multicolored, sewn
yeah,
together flannel shirt or some crazy jacket or something. And then you start buying that sort of stuff, and you realize that you have
yeah,
nothing you
yeah. I
can put
mean, you
together
just think, yeah,
other than
well,
a clown
exactly. You
show.
just you think sort of it's safety first, is it? You know what I mean? And if you're, it's nice when you have the time to put a whole outfit together, but I don't know. I mean, you probably know, having kids and stuff, you don't really have the time to think too much. At least I don't anymore. I'm very much in the sort of dad core phase of my my clothes. So it's
Mm,
hoodie on, cap on, trainers out the door, sort of thing.
yeah.
But
I mean that's
exactly, yeah,
life. That's
yeah.
sort of
But it's nice to
life
have these things in
fits.
the wardrobe for when you do get the time. At least for me, anyway, yeah.
Saturday when you're going out on your
Exactly,
own.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I will go into menswear shops and I'll see all the stuff they have is just super, super basic. But everything fits together. I mean,
Mhm.
you could quite easily wear the stuff from that season the rest of your life. There's nothing that stands out. And I mean, nothing I'd like. It's all extremely boring. But then it's also so utilitarian that you could just
Yeah.
wear it. And that stuff makes me question myself and my actions a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose the self-expression's kind of taken away from it, isn't it? But and then when you do see someone who's the opposite, they really stand out. So, but yeah, well, it's what it is.
So I think the trick is then just to wear one piece that stands
Yeah,
out and not try to wear all
yeah,
seven
yeah, yeah,
grey
yeah, yeah. You don't
pieces at
want
the
to be a
same time.
tryhard. So, yeah, which as you say, yeah, Instagram's full of them, isn't it? So, um, yeah, we just one good piece and you're good to go. Like,
Where do you see Instagram today? I mean, both from a personal and a business point of view.
I yeah, I mean, I don't like it. It's nowhere. It's nothing like what it used to be. I mean, it really from a personal point of view. Obviously, we have our business Instagram, um, uh, but from a personal point of view, I mean, it's totally lost all its charm, I guess. And I mean, the best thing about it when it first started, and when we first started Adamant, is it was chronological and it came up with before all the reels and
Yeah.
all that started getting imposed on you. It was, oh, this is a guy I really like. He dresses cool. Let's see what he's wearing today, sort of thing. And again, that was what kind of led me down, the sort of rabbit holes with things like Brown's Beach and stuff like that. There was someone who was really, I thought was really on it, and oh, I've never heard of that brand. What's that before? And you Google it and you find out blah blah blah, and then you start going on down these menswear forums and stuff, and spending forever trying to find a Mighty Mac windbreaker from a you know defunct company from about 30 years ago. Um,
I came across the Mighty Mac tweed jacket a couple of
yeah.
weeks ago in a shop here in town. I'd never heard of it. So
Well, again, yeah,
maybe I should
again,
have
one of
bought
those
it.
brands that I think is probably in Japanese hands now. But something I knew nothing about, and then you start googling it and finding old catalogs and old advertising from the 70s or whatever, and their big thing it was also sailing jackets and this kind of unique
Mm.
jacket with the buckles on the back, so you could clip on a sort of rucksack thing, which a bit strange, but from the front the jacket looked great, and I'd go away
Yeah.
and start sketching and doodling my own version of it and things. Um, but yeah, I mean, you just don't get that anymore, and now it's just full of influencers doing their fit check and things like that, and it makes it's not, I don't believe any of these, it's not organic, I guess is the word I'm kind of, it's not natural, these influencers, and they're wearing really cool stuff, but you can tell they've put so much effort into it to look effortless, I guess.
I think Instagram or Meta has destroyed
Oh,
part of
100%,
Instagram,
yeah.
both by the algorithm and I mean, every second post I see now is
Yeah, yeah.
advertising.
The algorithms, what
But I
really did
think
for us, I think, as I say, I mean, we kind of took a hiatus because of, family life and work and stuff. And then when I came back, I would post something, and none of the people that, originally followed me would see it. And I'm thinking, why is this not,
mm,
why is nobody seeing it, hitting it? And then I said, because I've been off Instagram for so long, I kind of, oh, it's all algorithm now and stuff like that. So it's just something that people just weren't seeing it. They were still following me as a brand, still following Adamant.
yeah,
They hadn't left, but they just weren't getting a chance to see what we were doing. Um, the first search we did, the Broadford ones, I first posted about that. It was a community. It was, oh, this is great, and people would retweet it, and then the people that followed them saw it, and they, I mean, they sold so well, and we've never actually been able to do as large a run since, as we did on that first thing, just because, if you can't get it out there, and Instagram's then trying to get you to pay €10 a day to to advertise your post, when you have
yeah.
you have X amount of followers who would probably buy it if they could just see it, so it's
Mm.
definitely unfair in that way. And I know, speaking to like Ian at Trickett and stuff, the even some well established brands, they're putting money in every week to advertise on Instagram, but they're not seeing any return on it. It's just to try and
Oh,
keep the try and
yeah.
keep it going, I guess. Keep people
So
interested.
it seems like kind of a blackmail situation where you're allowed to build up your following and the basis of your marketing, but then when it comes to the point where you want to see some return, then you have to start
Yeah,
paying
yeah,
for it to
exactly.
work. But then you're saying that
Yeah,
you might be paying,
yeah.
but it's still not
It's like so
working.
many of these apps. If you want, you have to pay to not get adverts anymore. So you have to pay, and then you
Mm.
don't get the adverts. But then it's a it's a horrible cycle of capitalism.
Are there any alternatives to Instagram really at the
I
moment?
actually Googled this the other week actually because I was curious to see, but I mean I guess there is, but how much cut through they're going to get, I don't know. It's definitely something we would explore, but I mean we were on Twitter back in the day when we first started, but came off of that quite sharpish even prior to Mr. Musk getting involved in things. We
Yeah,
just don't want to be on that platform. Reluctantly on Instagram, if we're completely honest, but it is what it is.
yeah.
You've got to do it. So um, yeah, we'll see.
So have you been working in your little dances for TikTok?
No, but I have got a tripod which I bought, so I am unfortunately going to have to jump on the content creation scene, I guess. Work on my jump fades or whatever they call it. I sound like an old man. I sound like a super old man.
Transitions and
I'm only 38, but yeah. Again, that was the other thing when I came back to Instagram with the brand. It was just you know everybody have it, creating something which just to try and get the word out there. So we will do something for these shirts and things, and just hope it cuts through.
it strikes me that a lot of brands don't really understand social media, that they don't know what people following might actually be
Yeah,
interested
well, they
in.
don't seem to get the social aspect of it, I suppose.
Well, yeah, they don't get the. I mean, why would someone be
Hmm.
interested? It's the same way in which you sign up to their newsletter and they instantly bombard you with really crass advertising three
Yeah,
times a
yeah,
day until you get
yeah,
off it again. It's just like, I mean, if I follow a brand, I mean, I might want to learn something about how they make stuff. I mean, what are they making? It's only, I mean, there's only really that much I want to
hmm,
know about them. I don't need to sort of see 12 new products every day
yeah, yeah, exactly.
or scenic landscapes
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. I
yeah,
mean, there has to be something, some
hmm,
quality there. Otherwise, you're just really sort of
yeah,
misusing
yeah,
people's
yeah. And
show of
I think, I mean,
interest.
there's it's it's a trend, I guess. There's a certain aesthetic that goes along with all this, these adverts and things, and it just makes everything, all these brands end up looking the same. They maybe sell totally different things. One might be women's wear, one might be men's wear, one might be, you know, plates and saucers and stuff, but it all has this exactly same aesthetic, and you just start getting bombarded with all of it, and it just sort of
Mm.
removes the sort of the individuality of it, I guess.
A couple of examples come to mind. I mean, if you're, say, weaving tweed, you have endless possibilities for making content because you're weaving different
Mm.
tweeds. There's different processes. Excellent. I can follow that forever. Another guy I like following, he resoles boots. So every other day or so, he shows a new pair of boots before and after. And I'm thinking, brilliant. Absolutely top content. To the point, not messing about. And I think if more brands sort of just followed sort of
Hmm.
simple things like that, they might actually get
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah,
more interested. But most, they're just
yeah.
abusing
I think
people's
yeah. I mean,
show
you've
of
got
slight
that
interest.
sort of. There's obviously a time element to it as well, and you maybe find someone you like, and they create a video, but they need to keep you hooked for X amount of seconds for the algorithm to kick
Mm,
in. You're like, no, I just want to see what you're going to do, and it's the last,
yeah,
5 seconds of the clip, and you've had to put up with 30 seconds of gibberish and waffling
yeah.
on.
I tell you what really annoys me about everyone wanting to be an influencer now is that to be an influencer, you have to have engagement. The way to get engagement is to leave engagement on other people's stuff. So you have these sort of clusters of guys who are bigging each other up in the comments on all these things, and it's so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
transparent and they're so poorly written that it's just fire
Mm.
fit, bro. And it's god. Yeah, I mean, I like posting an outfit or something now and again, but only if I have a feel I have a good idea and I have something interesting to say in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
caption. But otherwise,
Yeah, I
really
used to do that
not.
on the sort of personal Instagram years ago, sort of what I wear today kind of thing, and that
Mm,
seemed, I mean, that was quite enjoyable, and it seemed quite twee, I guess, compared to now, where it's just that, it's get ready with me or what I wear, and it just seems so forced instead of just I'm away out the door. This is what I've got on. You know,
yeah,
cool.
and it was so
Yeah,
low
yeah,
effort because now you have to have. I mean, you have to have
yeah,
the
yeah,
lights
yeah.
and you have to have the music, the transitions, all the editing, and the.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
exhausting just contemplating it.
yeah, yeah.
So yes, I mean, if you're not selling clothes via Instagram, um, do you engage in blogs, Reddit, uh,
No,
guerrilla
no.
marketing?
Basically, I think I mean, again, this comes down to my own being out of the the scene for a while. There is
Mm,
things that I think we definitely could do better. We'll try and do better to get our clothes out there and seen. Um, I mean, I'd love to have our stuff just in shops. Maybe just one or two select shops would be great. But it's yeah, I mean it's kind of a work in progress that I'm trying to be more proactive with it, and we'll just
wouldn't wholesaling to shops kind of impact the rather good pricing
yeah. Well,
structure you have
this
now?
is I mean this is where it's all I have to do my sums and kind of work out what's
Mm,
best. I mean I wouldn't want to wholesale huge to lots of shops. Maybe just a couple local ones just to just increase brand awareness, I suppose,
mm,
and drive people, I guess, more to just being aware of the brand, and
yeah.
buying directly from us. It's not like we're going to end up on John Lewis's books or anything like that. But
No, I was just thinking Trickett is very comparable in that respect, and he also always has very
yeah,
competitive
yeah,
pricing.
yeah,
which is, I mean, a major selling point for the brand. You can get really good stuff at
Yeah.
very good prices, but once you have to factor in the
Yeah, I mean, I
wholesaling
think
and the
yeah,
markups there,
wholesaling is obviously you have to be producing enormous amounts really to be making it worthwhile, but on a very small local scene is what I'm talking about. Maybe just
mm,
one little shop in Aberdeen that could carry a few items. Um,
I did notice a fairly new, I think they've been in business about a year or so, British brand now, who have sort of gone the small indie route, but direct to wholesale, but making stuff almost
mm.
to order, quality, a little tender in style, but their shirts are sort of like £450 in the shops, and it's like
Yeah, well,
it's a hard
that's
sell.
I mean that's kind of the total antithesis to what I kind of started adamant to do.
Mm,
Because lots of great bands out there doing really good stuff, but it's not any better or worse than what I can produce. But they're charging three times the price for it. So
mm,
um, yeah, it's tricky, and it's such a saturated market as well. But from a personal pride point of view, just to see something that I did just in a small local shop, would I think that would be worth it.
you just walk past with the
Yeah, yeah,
kids, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
can sort of
exactly. I
point
mean,
out
we
that's
kind of
shirts.
did a couple of pop-ups and stuff like that back in the day, and it's nice to get that sort of engagement with real life people as well. So
Mm.
yeah,
Actually, see faces and fingers having
yeah,
a look at
exactly.
what
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
selling. Yeah,
yeah.
I can see the how that
Yeah,
would
well,
be
there
very
was a lot
cool.
of surprise. Like when we first did it, I had a little pop-up, and it was really early on. It was actually just it was to help a guy out who was it was part of his university dissertation or something. He had to he was doing business or something like that, and he created this little pop up shop full of local brands and stuff. And at the time, we didn't even really have anything because we were still sort of at sampling stage. So we had one of our Broadford shirts and a few T-shirts, I think, and we had this sample garment, which is what I made as part of this night class. And we just had these on display, and people were coming in and saying, "Well, that's nice." And the surprise on their face when you sort of told them, "Oh, I'm just a local menswear, I'm a local clothing brand," because to a lot of people, you know, clothing brands are just these huge, labels that everybody kind of knows. They're sort of ubiquitous. But
Yeah,
sort of seeing the surprise on their face, went, oh, you make that here, kind of thing. It was like, yeah, it was good. Yeah,
it
yeah,
is
yeah,
possible.
exactly. And it was, yeah, and it was a sort of. I mean, let's say we've never really leaned into the Scotland thing, a huge amount, or even the Aberdeen thing. I mean, apart from the name, um, but yeah, seeing sort of people's faces go, oh, it's a bit of a really sort of old-fashioned sort of provincial attitude, I guess. But to a lot of people, fashion labels and stuff, it's the preserve of the big cities, London and things like that. And then it's like, oh, you do that here, kind of thing. It was good to see. So.
I guess some people would want their shirt made in Tokyo, but others might actually appreciate it was made pretty locally. And it struck me when I was out walking today that what you're doing in the sort of small scale, now made to order, you're kind of like a return to the village
Yeah,
tailor,
yeah,
the guy you'd go to when you actually
yeah,
needed
exactly.
something, and he'd give you what you needed to fit you.
100%. And that's again that's what's good about the way we're doing things just now. As I say, just it's made all our stuff's made in Glasgow by one person, um, and it gives us a bit of flexibility. I mean, at the end of the day, we're not tailors. I can't do fully bespoke stuff, but we've had a few people
Mm.
that have pre-ordered these, and have said, "Could you make the arms a little bit shorter um, on my one?" Or we've done we've accommodated one extra size in this run that we didn't do before. We can offer double XL, which we didn't do before. So you know, it allows us that flexibility because if someone says that to me, I want the sleeves 1 inch shorter, I can just get on the phone and say, look, for this particular one, can you do that? And it's like, yeah, no problem. And it doesn't eat into any of the, you know, the cost or the production time or anything. It's all, you know, so small. It's, you know, it's easily manageable.
It's interesting you mentioned that you hadn't done double XL before, because if there's one thing I get a lot of messages about, it's from larger lads saying how hard it is for them to
Hmm.
find clothes in big sizes. And I mean, I'm not a huge person, and he would call me a hobbit, but even I am large XL these days, and I often see sizing just doesn't go any larger
Yeah,
than XL.
yeah. Well, that I mean, that would be because I mean, from our point of view, we offered 4 sizes to begin with: small, medium, large, extra large, just purely as a scale thing. You know, I couldn't afford to add an extra,
Mm,
you know, size in there. Likewise with extra
no,
small. Um, but because of this, the way we're doing things now, as I say, you know, if we get orders in and we only get one person that needs a double XL, it's no problem because we haven't gone ahead and made 10, 20 XL, double XLs that aren't going to
uh,
sell. So, you know, and likewise, we offer double XL now, but if someone came and said, look, could you do this for us in a extra small, we have the flexibility to do that.
no. It's strange because I see that it is the large sizes that tend to sell
Yeah,
out quickest, and online shops, and come the sales, it's all small and extra
yeah,
small
yeah.
left.
Well, I
All
have
the
that problem
all
all
the
the
big
time
stuff.
because I mean, I would usually be between a large and an XL depending on the brand. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, whenever I see something, you know, in the sale, as you say, there's nothing left, and it's frustrating.
Has there been a plus size discussion for menswear? I mean, there has been an ongoing one in the women's wear sphere for
No,
ages.
when you yeah, when you consider the demographic, yeah, I think it would be. I mean, certainly a lot of the stuff,
Yeah.
you know, we did initially as well. It totally appealed to the sort of casual culture, things like that. So, you know,
Yeah.
guys that go to the pub and, you know, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Uh, Gary in York, who makes coats as English Utopia, I mean, he does a lot of business with Americans, get orders up to sort of
Oh, yeah.
5XL. I mean, proper large, and that's not part of a standard assortment
No,
anywhere.
no, because I mean, you've got
So,
to, again, just things that I found out since doing this, which, again, you don't consider, but, you know, each item is graded. You know, there's a process of grading which creates your sizes, and, you know, that's a process in itself. You know, it's not just, okay, we'll just add an inch here and that, you know, that becomes your next size. It's all relative and proportionate and stuff.
mm,
So, um, yeah, that's something that I'm conscious of now that before I started the brand, just, you know, you just don't think about that sort of thing.
yeah. I often wonder about the grading like that, because it does sort of grade after a sort of one evolution in sizing. But even though, I mean, you might have a big tummy or a big chest, but it doesn't mean you have
No, no,
hugely, massively
yeah,
long
yeah. I mean,
arms.
there's obviously a point, you know, a sort of line in the sand as far as that goes. You know, before you get into the bespoke tailoring side of stuff, you can only accommodate so much. But um, yeah, it would be good if, you know, brands were a bit more realistic with, you know, the population.
I see it with two of my friends who are extremely tall, but one of them is scaled. So he's like a scaled up person, and the other one is just
Yeah,
stretched. And obviously, they're both the same height, but their sizing is completely
yeah,
strange.
yeah. I had
So,
a friend as well, very tall, near 7 foot, 6 foot plus anyway. And he used to get his work shirts, so it's and suits and that. He used to get them from Thailand because it just gave them his measurements much cheaper than going to, you know, a bespoke tailor.
because someone like that might be a medium
Yeah,
upper
they've got
body,
incredibly long
so that
legs.
his
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bar, so his barber looks like a
yeah,
little
yeah,
crop top.
exactly. Yeah, totally.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a visual for you
Well,
to
well,
feast
well.
on when you lie
It's
awake at
funny you say
2
that because I
a.m.
mean, I can't really. I've had one barber in my life, um, and I liked it, but the arms were too short. My arms are too long for barbers. Likewise, too long for
Oh,
Ralph Lauren polo shirts as well. So yeah, I suffer from the monkey arm as opposed to the short, stumpy
oh,
ones. But yeah.
right. Well, there you go. Um, buy better, buy less.
Yeah.
How's that working out, do you think?
Uh,
Is it just a marketing ploy, or is it a genuine movement towards saving our planet?
yeah. I
Throwing
don't
the
know. I
small
don't know if the
questions at
planet
you.
has anything to do with it. I mean, it's. I think if they maybe marketed it more towards finances of people. I mean, I,
Hmm.
I kind of, I will, buy better if it means it lasts longer. I mean, I don't buy nearly as much stuff as I used to. Obviously, having kids and stuff like that. So I mean, I've still got jackets and things, that are going on 15 years old, and I still wear them. Um, and I suppose I mean I probably approach it more from the I don't have to replace this every year kind of thing, which is probably a more realistic way to market it, I guess, rather than trying to get people. Because I mean, we try and do everything as sustainably as we can, but some people it's just not in there. It just doesn't. It's not in the forefront of their mind for whatever reason. So
I think it's kind of a big ask to tell someone to buy better because most people just look at you and say, "Yeah, what's better? How do I
yeah,
know?
how do you define?
Just
Yeah, how
something
do you
more
define better? Is it more
expensive?
expensive or is it better quality? And yeah.
Is it a known brand name? I mean, what?
Hmm.
How?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, I've got some items you say from um, not particularly unique bespoke brands or anything, but I keep them. They're good quality and they've lasted a very long time. And I've got stuff from much more expensive brands, and they fall apart after 1 year or less sometimes. So it's difficult
Yeah,
to define what that means. I think in principle it's a sound kind of um, approach, or
it's a
it's a
sort
noble,
of kind of a
yeah,
snazzy
it's a noble
slogan.
pursuit, I guess. But yeah, realistically, it's probably a bit more difficult to follow. But yeah, I mean, I can honestly, if we're talking about adamant here, I'd like to think that our stuff, lasts a long time, and we're not um, overcharging anybody. But yeah, well,
But are you
are we
fashionable?
fashionable? Well, that's a question of taste, isn't it? So
Yeah, because that's. I mean, I think the concept of fashion is a large part of the
yeah.
problem here. The way we're told this week that skinny jeans are in next week, we're told that wide jeans are in or whatever. This constant planting the feeling of
Hmm.
needing more
Oh,
new
100%.
stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I see people talk about
Hmm.
timeless, but I'm not sure that actually works either because, I mean, thinking of timeless garments, I suppose the Browns Beach vest has had a good run, but that might have been because it was never actually
Mm.
fashionable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Levi's 501, I mean, there are probably differences in cuts over the years, but that must be pretty timeless if we
Yeah.
can use the expression, although sort of in and out of fashion. But
Yeah. I suppose. I mean, you consider someone like a brand like Barber would probably consider themselves timeless, but not. Not when I was younger. It was only farmers that wore Barber, and then they obviously have this big surge in popularity, and which is driven by fashion, really. Um,
it was a sort of Sloane Ranger, Princess
yeah,
Di,
it was.
the sort
Yeah,
of
it was.
posh
It was. It was
factor.
just people that lived in the country wore Barber, but now it's kind of everywhere. And they would say they're timeless, but I suppose it probably wasn't really because there was probably a long period of a very long fallow period for the likes of Barber compared to now. Um,
I think I'd sort of agree with Barber being timeless if they'd kept their rather
Yeah,
narrow range, say up to 10 jackets in each range. But if you check their website now, they've got 200 different jackets for men and another 200 different
yeah,
ones for
yeah,
women.
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
not
No,
timeless. That is
yeah.
a
Well, it's
fashion
very
brand.
driven by fashion. I mean, they very good marketing, and they they leaned into the whole Steve McQueen thing and stuff like that, and that became a
New
yeah,
collaborations every
yeah, yeah,
week.
exactly. Which yeah, yeah, don't get me started on collaborations, but yeah, yeah.
Oh yes, please do
Oh,
get started on
well,
collaborations.
it's just, I mean, there's quite an interesting guy on Instagram that I follow, and he's got a sort of semi-regular thing called Logo Slap or Genius Marketing or something, and yeah, I mean, all these collaborations to generate interest, but there's nothing unique about it that you think, oh, this person's actually had a real hand in creating this, whatever it is. I had to laugh. I walked past the Nespresso coffee shop in town here, and they had a collaboration with the Weekend, the singer rapper, the
Oh,
Weekend.
the
Yeah, yeah.
artist.
And I was like, what does he have to do with coffee? What does he know about coffee? And I could see no, I could see no distinction between the machines. His machine versus the other ones. He had a
Oh,
machine,
he
yeah,
had his
yeah. And I'm
own
thinking,
machine. Ooh.
bizarre. But you've got the big poster out in the window, Nespresso times
Ah,
the
well then,
weekend,
yeah.
and it's two totally disparate worlds. You think what's the connection there? And yeah, loads of brands like that. They call it a collaboration, but they've just put this other brand's logo, on the chest or something like that. It's not really a.
Yeah. I mean, I think there can be collaborations that have merit.
Oh, the
Um,
100%, the hundred
I
percent
mean,
can be, yeah, but
I
I would
hope
think
that I
more.
if both parties bring
Yeah,
something
yeah,
proper to the table, but if it's just a case of accessing each other's mailing lists,
that's
then
it. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
wasteful. So now that you've grown up and become a father, and you are yourself a bit of a clothes horse in your
Mhm.
teens, I mean, how do you see the kids of today dressing?
It depends on the age. We've seen the teenagers and that, the sort of Gen Z um, guys. It's quite interesting because, yeah, I mean, it makes me think of my parents when I would, I mean, I used to be a skateboarder, so I would wear incredibly baggy clothes
Uh,
and stuff, and my dad just didn't get it. And now I look at the same thing and I'm like, yeah, I just don't get it. But it's that's style, I guess. At the end of the day, it's fashion. It goes in circles and trends and stuff. So I dare say, we went. I was a part of the skinny jean brigade, and now we're back into the enormous trouser era. And there's a funny meme going on that life is just watching jeans go from skinny to baggy, skinny to baggy, skinny to baggy.
that's
Yeah,
a lot of truth in that.
yeah. And a lot of obviously they all wear a lot of thrifted stuff uh, now, which I think is yeah, it's an interesting one. I think it's a bit of a bubble. I'm waiting for that to burst. Um,
I fear there's a lot of vintage fashion now is just that. And last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago, we did cover that people who bought a lot of fast fashion display the same buying pattern about thrifted and vintage clothes.
yeah, it's a
So
trend.
if you
It's a trend.
buying
Yeah,
clothes and stuff, then
yeah,
so I like to think that if we could at least keep the clothes from becoming
yeah,
waste,
yeah.
they are
Yeah,
circulating,
I mean, I
then
mean, I
it's
think
okay.
that's great, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, at the end of the day, second-hand clothes shops have always been around, and they've always served a purpose. Um, I think because it's fashionable at the moment, though, obviously these things come with a premium, and you're looking at it and thinking, it's not like, you might go in and find an old Burberry jacket from 50, 60 years ago, and right, that is a really great
Mm,
find. Or in
yeah.
in the case I found, a totally tattered polyester football kit from 5 years ago, and they're still they're
Yeah.
charging twice what it cost when it was new, and it's not vintage, and it's not particularly retro, or it's not like this iconic piece.
No.
Um, it just seems to be anything that's you know 10 years old plus. We can call it vintage, or we can call it thrifted, and charge a lot of money for it. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't find it's. I went into a store here. There's quite a lot of vintage stores around here. It's quite a student heavy sort of city. Um, and a lot of the stuff, I mean, it was things that secondhand shops certainly used to, they would reject. Say, we're not selling this. We're not putting this on the shelves, because it's got a
Yeah.
fag burn in it, or the freight, it's frayed or whatever. But and again, I mean, this is a personal kind of bugbear of mine. It would be related to the classic football shirt thing. Where, they're not classic football shirts. They're not iconic pieces. They're
No.
you know, it's only a few years old, and it's a piece of polyester, um, and the badge is hanging off, and they're charging 50 pounds for it, or €50. Strange.
Yeah. I mean, football shirts like that are they collectible? Do people sort of buy them every season and then stockpile them,
Well,
or are they kind of just
yeah,
forgettable?
I would say 99% of them are forgettable, really, because they're released at such a, every football club has a new kit every season. I mean,
Yeah.
the
The old
sort of, I mean,
polyester.
I mean, incredible business that created that classic football shirts, guys, amazing. And obviously they started, and it was really iconic sort of, kits from, especially if you're my age and you're very nostalgic for Italian football in the 90s and stuff. Really great stuff. I would pay 100, £200 for that, because you can't find it anywhere.
No.
Um, but now it's just any old football kit, suddenly, as soon as it's a season old, it suddenly becomes vintage,
It's quite
apparently.
strange if the season's over, it's twice the price.
Yeah, that's maybe
That
a bit
must
of
be
an
a business
exaggeration,
model.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's such a cheap, throwaway plastic garment. At the end of the day, it cost 10p
Yeah.
to make, and it wasn't particularly. I mean, I found one of my own club, Aberdeen. I found it in this football pop up they had, and they were wanting €50 for it, and it was from probably the worst period of our football club for the past 30 years. It was a really rubbish Nike template. It wasn't even unique to the club or anything like that. It was so
Mm.
if no Aberdeen fan would want it. Um, and they were charging €50 for it. I was like, yeah, I think that'll be gathering dust for quite some time. But I don't
Mm.
know. Maybe that's just me. Yeah, yeah,
Strange. Now, something I wanted to ask you about probably would have fit in better earlier on in the recording, but some years ago we were chatting over Instagram, I think, because you were keen to move into the clothes
yeah,
menswear industry, maybe get a design position somewhere.
yeah.
You never.
Uh, I, Life got in the way, basically. I think, yeah. I mean, it's still
Mm.
something that I would love to do. I did speak to a couple brands, sort of designers, and they were all really nice, generous with their time and stuff. Um, I just kind of wanted to get a sense of how things kind of operated behind the scenes for these, bigger sort of brands and things. I remember I spoke to Keston Hare, um, just when he was kind of relaunching or launching Keston, the brand. Obviously, he was based in Edinburgh. I was in Aberdeen, so I was keen to, yeah, just see if there was, come around for a nosy, basically. And he was really nice and generous with his time and stuff. But you know, I, I'm, not in a position anymore or an age where I can take an internship at a brand, something like that.
No.
So realistically, it probably wasn't ever going to happen. But it gave me it gave me quite a. It was good from a reassurance point of view because I always kind of had a bit of a because I never went to uni and studied, fashion or textiles or anything like that. I didn't go to art school or anything. Um, I wasn't sure if, you could be kind of taken seriously, I guess, um, as a designer. Um, and a lot of these guys, I mean, I spoke to David at Universal Works as well, and similar. He was a, no, he was a sign writer or I think something like that. Anyway, had no connection to fashion before he started the brand and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was quite good to hear. That the only thing kind of to an extent the only thing kind of holding you back is yourself. Um, as far as far as design and stuff goes. So you can design stuff if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But just you kind of keep doing you, for want of a better phrase.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's something. I mean, I'd love to own my own little store, clothes store. It's
I think that's a very common
yeah. I mean, at
fantasy.
the moment, unfortunately, it's a total fantasy because of just the status of bricks and mortar shopping and online stuff. But that's uh, that would be ideal. Just a nice little wee
Mm.
store where I could stock brands that I really liked and yeah, could be involved in the sort of industry that way, rather than because as I said, I mean we're totally self-funded. From There's probably always been a bit of a reluctance to go out and get investment or a big loan or something to really sort of make a real big effort with the brand that way. But um, I just kind of hope it would grow sort of organically. Um,
Mm.
so we'll see what time holds
Yeah.
for it.
It's quite strange, really, because I mean, as you said, David at Universal Works had been a sign writer, and I mean, I don't think the fact that sort of a good sense of design isn't necessarily something that you can be taught.
No,
Certainly, garment construction and sort of how you get things made is something you
yeah,
can learn. But running a small brand, you're kind of doing all
yeah.
that
I think I mean you're looking
plus
for.
everything
I mean, I
else.
suppose if you studied this sort of thing at uni, I guess you'd be more. It's you're looking for you're looking for ways to get a foot in the door, I guess, really. Whereas if you study this stuff and you're maybe more involved in that world from the get go, you leave university and you get a job at a brand or whatever, you're still young enough to, you know, start at the bottom and work your way up kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, Whereas obviously I wasn't not in a position to do that. So um, it's, yeah, I think that's the hardest thing about it because sometimes that can be quite deflating. You're designing this stuff, but getting it to the right people is difficult. But yeah, so that, it was good to speak to them about that and find out that it's not
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be this this big hurdle, but obviously it's
I also think that if you're working for a big brand, I mean, you might be in the position after a few years that you're the chalk coat guy. Say, every season you have to bring out your chalk coat design and move the pockets up half an inch and select a new
yeah.
color, and that's what you're doing. I mean, it might actually be pretty soul crushing.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be like same as any industry, I guess. I mean, but you might come out of it with the contacts that you need. If you want to branch off on your own, you know that I can speak to this factory and this factory, or I have this connection. Who could help me out. So, because I started from a complete blank slate. I mean, if I hadn't kind of got chatty with Ian at Trickett on Twitter all those years ago, then we might not be here speaking. So
Mm.
I think yeah, there's definitely ways around it, and it's just yeah, maybe it's just a case of biding my time, and yeah, we'll see what the future brings.
Mm. I do see that there are people who do actually manage to open sort of small enthusiast shops now. Alex from our forum days, I mean, he opened the Auteur shop
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah. I remember
Manchester,
him. Yeah.
which is a lovely little shop. I mean, I did not see any Bentleys parked
No, no.
outside, so I think he's probably not making massive millions of pounds. But I mean, by all accounts, it looks like he's living the
Yeah,
dream,
yeah,
really.
100%. I mean, that's something like that would suit me down to the ground. There's a nice wee shop in Glasgow called Orzel, which again a guy no background, just like me, and it just bit like interested in clothes, interested in design, and decided to open a wee shop. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If you're happy doing what you're doing, then you know that's maybe that's just a good way
Mm.
to be.
And uncertain times, though, as you said, for I think both the small brick and mortar shops and the big online places. I think everyone is a little bit nervous these
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely. But I think, I mean, I think there probably, I'd like to think there will be a return to it in some form because I think people are getting pretty just exhausted with online. I mean, I've never really bought that much stuff online, because I've always preferred to just go and try things on for one. You know, what I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of money on a pair of jeans to get them, shipped up and they don't fit, and then you've got to ship them back and the big hassle with that. And I mean, I know it's a lot easier these days, but yeah, just always prefer to go into a shop and feel you need to feel something. I always find as well, especially I mean doing what I do at admin. I know the difference between a quality bit of cotton and a crap
mm.
polycotton or something like that. So feeling these things, they can look, they can make anything look good on a web page, but until it arrives, you've no idea what you're doing.
Especially with suitably seductive captions and
Yeah,
lovely photos. And
yeah,
yes, I know for my own part that if I'm making informed buys, I'm doing them in person in a shop after having tried them
yeah,
on and checked things over. But
yeah,
living in a small town in Norway, there aren't really that many good shops
yeah, yeah.
locally. So I see we've been an hour and a half now. Would you like to talk a bit about what you're actually making at the moment and
Yeah, so we've got
so forth?
this is. I thought I'd wear it, so you get a better idea of it. That you maybe can't see it that well with the light, but obviously we have Instagram and we have a website and stuff. But this is the Broadford work shirt, and it's the third version of this that we've done. So first one we did a navy and a green iteration, which
I remember
yeah,
the green one. You never had it in my size.
well I can.
I'm so resentful so many years
Well,
later.
we can maybe sort you out this time around, um, and this time we're just doing navy just now. But as I say, maybe we can sort something out, and we've updated it a wee bit. Nothing too drastic. It's just we had quite a sort of coarse wool the first time around, um, on the pockets and the sleeve detail and the gussets at the side as well. But it's got a much nicer, softer wool from Italy this time. It's kind of like a boiled sort of wool, so the sort of thing you would get on a duffel coat or something. Um, so it's got a
Okay.
much still hardy, but it's got a much more sort of luxe feel than the last one. Buttons from Courtney and Co. Two flat pockets, one with a little utility detail on it for putting your pen and things on if you are that way inclined, if you're wearing it in a draftsman drawing office or something like that. So that's where that comes from. And yeah, um, it's yeah, I'll show it right there. So, and they're ready for pre-order just now, and they got a sort of 50% deposit and then 50 upon completion. But we're hoping to get them. They're being made this week and next week, so hopefully be ready
Wow.
in the coming weeks for that. Um, we also have, okay, um, yeah, this is our second version of the Mountaineer, um, Alpine vest, sorry, um, which is Harley Stevenson's wax cotton outer, corduroy pockets, a nice burnt orange colour lining, so extremely cosy. Navy at the back with a wool shawl collar. Um, this is the same thing, but this is the navy version, which you were asking about. When do you wear vests or gilets?
Yeah.
Really, I've had this on for about the last 2 months straight. Um, so
As a mid layer or as a top layer?
both top layer and mid layer just depends on the temperature, really. But I mean, it's wool again. It's a beautiful Italian wool, um, soft. It's got a really soft handle, but it's tough. So it's again what what you would find typically on a duffel coat or um, a pea coat, that type of thing. Not quite as coarse as that, but really nice. This is actually an early sample, so it's got a different lining
Yeah,
from what.
I was just thinking the blanket lining looked very nice.
Yeah, this has got a really nice blanket lining, which I had initially hoped to do for everything, but it was discontinued and way too expensive to to do basically, um, a lot more. So, but the one that we sell has a red ripstop lining, so you get that kind of modern technology with the kind of heritage outdoor on the outer as well. So a bit of mix of both, really. Um, so that's kind of like the sort of live projects, if you like, that we're working on. We still have a few of these left, which I know Nick, you have or you had.
I don't know where
The
mine has got to. I have a feeling one of my sons might have nicked it.
yeah.
That's a
So
very
this is our
nice
yeah, this is
looking
our
Barbara
Barrier
alternative.
coat. Yeah, yeah. That was it. It was actually kind of inspired by some early Bonneville CP company
Okay.
stuff. But yeah, wax. So it's got traditional kind of wax cotton outer, but it's also got Halley's Hybrid Aero washable wax at the bottom, where you're going to get most scuff marks and things like that. So they come out. So we still have a few sizes of them left, but they sold really well when we made them, and they were very limited, if you remember. Um, so that's kind of what we're working on just now, and I've got something else. Talking of chore courts earlier as well, something kind of like that, but I'm gonna do something different, so it's not just a chore coat. But yeah, kind of leaning into that sort of heritage outerwear sort of style, which I kind of want to take the brand in the future. And yeah, if we can do all kind of items that I'd like to make sort of staples. And if we can, we can do them each season, but with a different approach, different color, different fabric, that sort of stuff. That's what I'd like to do, and yeah, just encourage folk to check out the brand, and yeah, if they like what they see, get engaged.
Just hope things pick up on old Instagram. I meant to ask. I mean,
Yeah.
who is the typical adamant buyer?
Probably British males about my age, 30, late 20s to 40, early 40s, I guess, 50s. I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, we've had the obvious when we first sort of started, as I say, kind of, um, there was a lot of the sort of casual scene played into
Uh,
it quite a lot in Britain. Men of a certain age, the sort of look, and so there's that element of it, but also we've had some of the more sort of, I guess, the brighter pieces like the yellow jacket, the linen jacket that I talked about that didn't do so well. that they actually travelled quite well, and there
Okay.
was orders from the States and Europe for those, which is quite cool. But yeah, just I would hope we don't really pigeonhole ourselves too much. If you like, as I say, like overshirts have kind of become pretty ubiquitous these days. So I don't think it's this type of person that only wears it. It's just
I have this feeling that sort of 10 years ago there were more of these small brands, and I think it was adjacent to the casuals scene because
yeah,
the casual guys were always after something that no one else had.
hmm
So there was more a sort of taste for the rare.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think definitely um, that certainly was the case. But yeah, I mean we're not. Yeah, as I said, I wouldn't want to pigeonhole ourselves into any particular thing.
not
If you like it,
not really
then
the casual
yeah.
scene, no.
No. But people. Yeah, I mean, we would never put the. It's not my scene. I've never been into it, but um, you know, um, and we don't overtly brand our clothes or anything like that. We don't have the other than the label on the inside. So don't worry, there won't be any bad. There won't be any instances of getting the badge in or anything like that. Um, and yeah, I mean the overshirt is just kind of like a sort of timeless piece, but yeah, we really the thing I like the most is the kind of the Americana and the sort of heritage outerwear sort of thing. So that's where we'll be focusing going forward.
You could probably
Um,
have a nice little living just making versions of the overshirt every season for guys who
yeah, yeah. Well,
like that.
that's again that's I mean I mentioned being one of these brands that this is what we do and we do it really well.
Mm.
So that's the kind of approach we want to take. Yeah, maybe next season we'll offer this in a different color, maybe with corduroy pockets instead of wool pockets, or and still maintain this, the classic version, and then we can offer something a bit different. That's what we want to do with the Alpine vest. We've got the navy one, the safe one, but we've also got the sort of two-tone one as well. If you're feeling a little bit.
I think that idea of actually sort of doing a few things and doing them every season is something that has, to a great extent, become lost. I know that if you go into Cordings, say at Piccadilly in London, and you want to replenish your supply of vibrantly hued corduroy trousers, they will always
Mhm.
have a selection of 20 corduroy trousers in the same style you've always used
Yeah,
to buy
yeah,
because
exactly.
they know that their people want them every season. And I see there's a suit place here in town, or menswear place, and they say that when you need new trousers for your suit jacket, they all will always have a matching pair of suit trousers,
Mhm.
regardless of how long it's been. And I think a lot of that longevity has been lost because you've got so many brands now that this season we're doing that, next season that, and then just violently trying to reinvent everything they do all the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's if you do something well, just keep doing it instead of compromising elsewhere. And you say the market's so saturated. I think one way to stand out is by not doing that. Just doing the one thing. And if someone wants an overshirt, I'd love to be the company that they go, right. I'm going to go and get my updated one. I've had this one for 5 years. It maybe needs a bit of a refresh. I'll go and get another one. Or they tell their mates about it. Uh, and yeah, that's
I suppose it's that desperation in trying to get more sales. So it would be like you saying every season that, yeah, that overshirt from last season is rubbish. You want this season's
yeah,
because that's much better. And then just keep doing that every time.
yeah. But I'm not in a position where this is my career, if you like. So I don't have to approach it in that manner. I can just do what we want to do and hope it reaches reaches an audience. And
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think that's very credible. That's
Right.
I fully support that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few other things. I mean, we obviously there's like some accessories. We'd probably love to throw in. Like obviously in the past we did the woolly hats that we did, and there's always a place for things like that, or a t-shirt here and there. But we'll stick to sort of substantial stuff that will stand the test of time.
For those not watching this on YouTube, I have on my little display in the background a fetching little green beanie with a orange pom pom on, which was the one that destroyed my hair when I was out in the cold before recording today. It's my rather flat hair. Adamant bobble hat from quite a few years back, I think.
Oh yeah, at least 5 years, 6 years ago, probably. Yeah.
That's the thing about buying good stuff; you can actually keep it and keep wearing it and
Yeah.
enjoy
Well,
it for
that
a long
was
time.
yeah. That's 100% wool made in Scotland. Yeah, by a company that they just make wool, so they know what they're doing. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Scottish knitwear, good.
yes.
You're not going to do any little
Uh,
cute little knitwear pieces.
Never say never. Who
No.
knows? Yeah, yeah. We'd like to. Yeah, again, something that we would like to maybe approach in the future.
I think that's having a bit of a moment now. I think all the sort of people in Scotland who make jumpers, sweaters are doing private labels stuff,
Yeah,
and
yeah. There's big like Shetland woolly jumpers and things like that are having a
uh,
real kind of moment.
it's so bizarre that we actually talk about stuff having a moment, and tweed coats are also having a moment now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's like finally I'm relevant again.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, you can't. At the end of the day, you can't go wrong with a woolly jumper. If you live in the countries that we live in, there's always a need for a good woolly jumper. So, or a
That is
good
very very true.
woolly hat. So yeah, we'll see what the future brings. We'll try and get these shirts out in the next few weeks, and um, as I said initially, they were pre-order. We might do a small batch that we'll have in stock. And yeah, Nick, if you'd like a green one, then I'm sure we can work something out.
Excellent. Okay, Neil. Anything
Okay.
we should have mentioned that we haven't mentioned?
No, no, I think we're good. Just go out and buy my stuff, please, and that would be great.
Oh, you really blew it there. You want people to discover that through their own thinking. But
Yes, yeah. No, no,
I,
just yeah, just if you like what you hear, find us on Instagram. There's links to the websites and stuff. I'm going to try and be more proactive with mailing. When we have stuff to launch, we'll send out an email. So follow us. But I promise you won't get bombarded with daily spam. Because one, that's not who we are. Two, I don't have the time to do that.
yeah,
I hate getting the spam myself, so I wouldn't inflict it on anyone else. But yeah, when we have new stuff or we're in the middle of designing new stuff, what I'd like to do is send out an email say that this is what we're working on, and keep your eyes peeled in the future for other stuff. And yeah, if you see our posts and that, just give them a like and a follow, and yeah.
okay.
That'd be good. Really appreciate the time, Nick. So it's good to
Thank you
speak.
very much. It was lovely talking to you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
bye bye for now.
Right. Cheers, Nick. Thanks. Bye.